so happy to see all of you here tonight. This is so exciting. My name is Jenny Simon O'Neill, and I'm the Senior Associate Athletic Director here and the Senior Women Administrator. First off, I want to welcome all of you here tonight. I'm really excited that you guys took the time during Reading Week to come to this amazing event. I know that the Reading Week is an intense week, so just really appreciate you guys taking the time. I personally have been looking forward to this event for months now. I remember when Carol Stiff over here called me in December and said, would you guys like to be a part of this program? Would you guys like to host? And the automatic answer was yes, of course. We are one of 22 schools that gets this opportunity. And it's not an opportunity that we necessarily get to do every year, but we get to do it right now. So it really is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I want to thank espnW for their partnership through all of this. They have been incredibly dedicated. They've met with us on the phone like once a week for the last 12 weeks in anticipation of this great night. So I want to thank them for their partnership. Tonight is about connection. Connection to those who walked in your shoes before you, and those who are going to be by your side as you navigate this next chapter of your journey. And I want you to think about that. All of these people are around to support you. Tonight is also about helping you realize the skills and qualities that you already have in your toolbox. The skills and qualities that you have learned and honed on the court, on the water, in the pool, and on the field are the same skills and qualities that make you invaluable to any organization that you will become a part of. These skills can't necessarily be taught. To compete, to truly work as a team, to be coachable, to respond to and navigate adversity, to identify where you are not strong and come up with a plan for how you're going to get better every day, to be a role player, to be a leader, to be confident under pressure. Employers can't send someone to a conference to learn this stuff. You guys have been working on it for your whole lives. I've been truly inspired by the stories of the women that are sitting up here. I've actually known many of them for a long time, and I cannot wait for you to hear their stories as well. With that, I would like to introduce ESPN's Vice President of Programming and Acquisitions, Carol Stitt.
Hey, thank you very much for making the attempt to be here tonight. Really appreciate it. You're investing in yourself. You're investing in your career. So this is our 22nd stop. We launched the program, Campus Conversation, in spring semester of 2016. I just want to list off the schools that we have already been to, so you're on many, many great universities. First and foremost, the Pac-12. We've been to UCLA and Stanford and now Cal. Joining that great list, we've been to Duke, Texas, UConn, Howard, Boston College, UPenn, Northwestern, UMass with Amherst Division III School, Alabama, Syracuse, Yale, Vanderbilt, Ohio State, Notre Dame, the U.S. Military Academy, and just this past semester we've been to Penn State, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and we went back to Texas. So what is we? Who are we? We're espnW. Okay, it's a program, it's a business that is multi-platform. It's espnW.com, where we engage with you, the athletes, as we tell your stories and we show highlights from everything you just saw on the film, to running events such as tonight. This is a business that we're in. We also have a global sports summit out here in California every October, where we bring together stakeholders in women's sports, and we just talk and have great conversations to figure out how we move the ball forward and how we do support women in sports. So tonight's program, as Jenny mentioned, we've been working with the faculty here and the staff who have been outstanding in setting up what we hope is a very powerful night for you. I was an athlete, I was a basketball coach, I was a basketball player many years ago, and I wish we had this program when I was going through, because what you're going to learn is going to be so key to the freshmen, to the sophomores, to the juniors, to the seniors. So sit back, take notes, listen to the fabulous panelists that we have here for you tonight, and walk away with investing in yourself. So with that, I want to introduce our moderator. You know, Shelley, I get to do this all too often, but it never gets old. Shelley Smith is an accomplished...
My fault. You don't get old.
Oh, you don't get it like it, right? Shelley's an accomplished reporter, correspondent, journalist for ESPN. Heck, she's going to probably win an Emmy Award this week, we hope. But you already had one once. She worked at SI in the San Francisco Examiner prior to coming to ESPN. She's a Nebraska grad, has a daughter who is an all Pac-12 conference second team soccer player at the University of Oregon, go Ducks. And she has written 3 books. My favorite title is Just Give Me the Damn Ball. She's going to say, just give me the damn mic in a second. So my last comment now, Shelley, she's a dear friend of ours. She's an MVP in our world at ESPN, and she's a cancer survivor, breast cancer survivor, and she's doing so much in that line to make sure that early detection is had. So without further ado, let's give Shelley a nice hand.
Carol underestimates herself. She is the MVP of women's sports at ESPN. There is nobody more respected or more revered than Carol Stiff, and loved, and we do love her. Thank you for all being here. I'm stunned at this. Of course, I would have done anything to get out of Dead Week too. So, but I am stunned that there, or free food. The free food helps. So, as long as we got to get something out of it. I'm thrilled to be here. Yes, the Emmys are next week. They're May 8th, and I have 2 nominations in the long form category. One on Jake Olson, the blind long snapper from USC, and also on a woman named Skylar Rue, who has been homeless. Probably the best WNBA player, probably the best female basketball player we never saw, because she's schizophrenic and she's been homeless for 2 years, or more than 2 years, but we worked 2 years on that story. So very proud of both nominations. I have no expectation of winning, which is fine. I just seen your name in the nomination. That's a really cool thing to do. So I want to introduce our panel. We just had a meeting in the back room, and it was an incredible meeting to hear their backgrounds. And some of them I know, and I'm going to start down on the end with Monica. Monica Wiley is a 1992 Cal grad. She played basketball. A lot of these things she'll tell you herself, but my favorite part is she's a judge in San Francisco. She's the one who gets to decide whether you go to jail or you stay out. A good person to have on your list, right? She also, her family wanted her to be a doctor, and she said there was one word that told her she was not going to be a doctor, and that was trigonometry. We also asked her, she said tonight we were wearing business casual clothes, and she said, I usually wear a black robe, but I don't think I'll wear that tonight. I'm going to ask her to tell you a little bit more about her athletic history here at Cal, and she also was a Howard grad student, so she's going to tell you about that right now.
Hello, everyone. As Shelley said, my name is Monica Wiley, and I graduated in 1992. Many of you were not born. But I played basketball here for 4 years. I was a 3-year starter on the basketball team as a point guard. And I graduated in 1992, went to law school at Howard University. I spent about 12 years practicing law in San Francisco. And then in 2009, Arnold Schwarzenegger appointed me to be on the bench in San Francisco. So I've been a judge for about 8 long years. I like to say that I'm 105 in judge years. But I really enjoy my job. Right now I'm supervising the family department, so I do family law, delinquency, and dependency. It's a little microcosm of everything. There's criminal law, there's civil law, and I really, really enjoy it. So I'm very, very happy to be back here on Cal's campus. I am a season ticket holder for the women's basketball team. Yay! Really? I'm a season ticket holder for the women's basketball team? I'm really, really excited to have this evening with everyone.
Awesome. Sitting next to her is Anne, and whose name I didn't write down here.
Simpson.
Simpson. She's a pilot. She's a badass pilot. She was one of the first pilots ever in the country. She started at Northwest, and then she went to Delta when they were bought out. But my favorite fact about Anne is that she went to a community college in Arizona, right? Mills? Was that in Arizona?
Women's college just right down the street.
I thought it was, okay. And she decided she wanted to be a pilot, and so she took this class, and then she transferred to Cal, but Cal wouldn't recognize the credits. So she came here and had to redo everything, but she followed her heart and wanted to be a pilot, and now she works a lot with female pilots who are trying, small and young children too, are trying to get ahead. And she just came from a conference in Las Vegas where she has really given back, but she's a pilot. That's a pretty amazing thing, Anne. Tell me more. Show me your hat.
Well, one of the best things is if you have a bad hair day, just
So you could have brought your robe, Monica.
and also, like Monica, a uniform. I didn't have to decide what to wear when I went to work. I just put the uniform on, kind of like our sports uniforms, right? And I have to figure out what you want to do when you go to play your sport. It is just really an honor for me to be here to speak with this group. I graduated in 1978, so 40 years ago. And so I just want to say, first of all, that there is a lot of life after you graduate from Cal and you leave your sport. Some of you will probably continue on and compete at higher levels, but there'll be probably many of you that when you graduate, you're going to be just going out to work like I did. And there's a great big wonderful world out there. And because of your years here at Cal, and especially because of your years here as being an athlete, you have so many tools in your toolbox when you go out and you look for that work. But I guess I started flying right out of Cal. I got a job teaching flying. Then I went on to fly charter, flew for a commuter, and was hired by Northwest Airlines in 1981 as the third woman pilot at Northwest. And I loved my profession. It was fantastic. I had the best view from my office that you could ask for astronauts. I flew 727, Airbus A320, 747, and Airbus A330, flew around the world. And if anybody is looking for that as a profession, you still have lots of time. I'll give you my card and we can talk about it.
Awesome. Awesome. Anne is my boss, Sandy Nunez, who is, you talk about badass pilot. Sandy Nunez is about as badass as a producer of SportsCenter as there is. She was brought out to Los Angeles to start the very first Los Angeles SportsCenter where Stuart Scott was anchoring, and I watched the YouTube today, and you can go back and look, and she's been there 9 years, and she's done amazing things with SportsCenter, but I'm going to let her continue to tell you about her career. But my favorite part about Sandy Nunez is that she went to Coachella. All plaid pants and brown pumps and blazer.
Somebody's got to do it.
She was at Coachella with her husband, and I said, "Were you at Coachella? I saw your picture on Facebook." And she said, "I went to Coachella." So that's Sandy Nunez, who runs our entire operation in Los Angeles and in Bristol, but mostly Los Angeles.
Thank you. Well, I believe you have to be well-mannered. So, let's see, I'm from San Diego. I went to UCLA, and I was not an athlete, so how did I end up on SportsCenter? Well, I started my career actually in news. I was a political science major. I had no clue what I was going to do, and my sister, who's older than I am and always knew she wanted to be a lawyer, said, "You really talk a lot. You should go to news." So I went and went to the job board. When she told me this, I was actually doing my part-time job at the UCLA placement office. And I walked over and there was a posting for Cable News Network. And back then, nobody really knew what that was, but I said, great, that'll work. So signed up there. And I was in news for the next 20 years. I worked at CNN, I worked at KBC, and then I went on to the network, ABC News Network, where I worked for Good Morning America, World News Tonight, and Nightly News. I also, while I was there, I worked overseas for 2 years, in and out of the Middle East, some Asia, worked in the conflict zones. So I had a really good, well-rounded, on the political tours, pretty well-rounded news background, and then I decided I needed to do something more. So I called my friend Lisa Salters and said, "So tell me about ESPN." She did, and the next thing I knew, I was moving to Bristol, Connecticut, and I went to work at ESPN, the headquarters office there. When I arrived, that was really interesting because I was the only woman who was working on SportsCenter at the time, and I was the only person of color. So that was definitely being, I felt like fish out of water, but it, teaches you a lot about character. And so for 2 years I did that, and then in 2009, as Shelley said, we were lucky enough to bring SportsCenter off of the Bristol campus, first time it ever happened in the company. And it was a really huge initiative, so luckily we succeeded, and it did become the highest revenue grossing show of all the sports centers, so it was highly successful. And so yeah, we've been running that for about 9 years, and have been very fortunate. Actually, Carrie Champion came out, we started another sports center, so we managed that as well. And that's kind of our history. Let's see, is there anything else? And I went to Coachella, yes. All right.
What was your favorite act?
We'll talk about that later.
Okay. All right, is there anybody here who doesn't know this person? Okay, never mind. Natalie Coughlin, she is, you know what I love best is that she is the most decorated female Olympian here at Cal, and she was just eating a big old sugar cookie. And you love any kind of a swimmer who's eating a big old, I know you're retired, but it's a big old sugar cookie.
Not retired.
You're not?
But I'm not.
Oh, you're not competing. She doesn't like this word, but it's what she is. She's an entrepreneur now, and I'll let her explain a little bit more about what she's doing with her amazing businesses.
Yes, so hi guys, Natalie Coughlin. My eligibility here at Cal was from 2000 to 2004. I still see a lot of familiar faces out there because I continued to train here until 2016. So after my college eligibility was up, I went on for 3 Olympics, and yeah, I still train up here actually. So if you see the random old lady lifting, that's just me. But I've been pretty busy lately, so I haven't been able to hit the gym as much as I would like. But yeah, I am. The easiest way to describe what I do now is entrepreneur, and I kind of hate that term because I feel like that's you're half unemployed and then half like dreaming. But that would be the most accurate statement of what I do now. When I was a professional athlete, and even here at Cal, I worked really hard to build, another term I don't really like, my brand. But I built my brand, and I made some really great partnerships with a lot of companies that I continue to work with today. So that's part of what I do. Last year, I wrote a cookbook. So I locked myself in my house all last summer and wrote a cookbook that's being published by Clarkson Potter, a really large publishing house, next spring. I started a winery last year, Gadarian Wines. I know most of you aren't old enough to legally drink, but when you have your first glass of wine, you have Gadarian wine. So we're a boutique winery out we produce in St. Helena, so we're making Pinot Noir and Chenin Blanc. And then lastly, I work at a tech startup called espnW, and basically it's really difficult to describe, but basically our engineers have figured out this algorithm that uses your iPhone or iPad to measure distance, space, velocity, and our initial applications were for sport and swimming, so that's why I'm involved in the company. But we're figuring out that there's a lot of applications beyond sport, from agriculture to solar fields to all these crazy things. So I guess entrepreneur is my title.
What do you do in your free time?
I don't have any free time. That's why I was eating the cookie. I'm really hungry and tired.
Well, you're forgiven. You've done enough. I think we can forgive you the one cookie. Okay, this is a pretty impressive group of women. Don't you all agree? I mean, pretty inspiring. What we've all done, I include myself because I think whatever. We've done with our careers. I started out as a business major, and I was going to be a secretary because I was really good at typing. And that's no lie. I was going to be a typist for whatever. And I thought making $1,000 a month was a great salary for a secretary. And then I took a journalism class, and I fell in love with it. It was right after Watergate, which you probably don't know about either, but go watch. Yeah, find out about Woodward and Bernstein and the fall of Nixon and all that, and you'll understand why we were so excited about journalism back then. And I decided, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And then I went into sports. But that's a very short description of a very long career. I've been very lucky to have lasted this long. I will be 60 in July, and that's sort of unheard of in our business. But I'm very proud to say I have lasted, and proud of the women coming behind me as well. So don't give up because you think the journalism business is dead. It's not. It's never been a better time to get into it in various roles. We aren't all in front of the camera, but there are a lot of the roles behind the camera, and the radio and the whatever, the TV operations. What I want to ask you women is what changed your minds? You said you're going to be a political science major, right, Sandy? And then your sister said you talked to them, so you should go into TV.
Right.
And what changed your mind? Your parents you didn't want to be a pilot at first. No, you were too busy in high school with skiing and partying, and we've never been there. Nobody's ever done that. But what made you decide you wanted to be a pilot?
I did not want to work in an office. I wanted to be in a bigger space. I could never envision myself sitting at a desk in an office 5 days a week. I knew some people in the airline industry, and I also knew that there weren't very many women in that industry, and I knew that there were going to have to be women in that industry. And I look back on it, and as a 22-year-old to have had that kind of foresight, I'm like, wow, that was smarter than I think I am. But all of these industries that have been male-dominated, a lot of them engineering and medicine, now there's a lot more equality in it, but we're going to be there, and we're going to be forces there. And if you recognize how important all of you are to society, to those industries, that's where you got to go. And that's one of the things, the opportunity. I knew there was going to be opportunity.
And Monica, we know that trigonometry didn't work with you, so you had to take stats, though. How'd you get through stats? And barely. And what got you into law school, and what made you attracted to the law profession?
Well, actually, it was my mother. My mother wanted a doctor and a lawyer. Literally, she had 2 children. She wanted a doctor and a lawyer. Trigonometry did me in, so my sister became a doctor. I became a lawyer. And listen to your mothers. Your mothers may actually know what you should do with your lives. It was actually the perfect career for me because I still had a lot of, when I graduated, I was still very competitive. And the legal field and being a litigation attorney was an outlet for me. I got to fight verbally very well at times, and that I think fulfilled my competitive spirit that I still had.
Sandy, people ask me all the time why there are no women at the top at ESPN. And I said because it's a terrible job. Why would you want to do that? I mean, why did you want to do that? Why do you like being a CP and in charge of everything, which would drive me crazy? She's like, that's why you're not.
I think because